Oh, now it all makes sense. Cyrus has been keeping Lulu in a coma all these years. Apparently, it's his brilliant solution to keeping her quiet after that article she wrote, though I have no idea what it was about anymore. Anyway, fast forward to her getting a new liver, and boom, she miraculously wakes up from the coma. Because, of course, a liver transplant totally fixes years of being in a coma. The medical staff is baffled but thrilled, like, hey, that's odd, but amazing. But the truth is, it's all Cyrus is doing. He must have been the one tampering with her ventilator too. I'm not even finished watching this episode, so if I'm stating the obvious here and everyone else is just sitting there going, duh, we already know, then sorry, but this finally explains everything. Cyrus made her stay in a coma, and now that he's out of the picture, she's waking up. Go figure. And then there's the whole thing with Sam, right? Cyrus probably poisoned the IV bag he thought was for Lulu, but somehow Liz gave it to Sam instead. Oops. Cyrus didn't give 2 cents about Sam though, so I doubt he was trying to kill her on purpose. He probably just figured, hey, let's get rid of Lulu in case she wakes up. Also, why would he drag Liz into this? I don't remember them having any major issues, but maybe he just wanted to shift the blame onto someone at the hospital. Now I'm starting to think that maybe Cyrus was planning on doing a mercy killing on Lulu. That would explain a lot, right? He's definitely got the connections to get hold of the drugs to keep her out of it. But how did he manage all this while he was in prison? That part is still a mystery. Still, if he is the one who put Lulu in that coma, he's got quite the twisted agenda. And the worst part? He might have just been waiting for her to wake up so he could get rid of her once and for all. A hell of a twist if that's true. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. I cannot stand it when people start packing up a deceased person's things right away. Seriously, Christina was already going through Sam's stuff before she was even 6 feet under. I know some will argue that it's therapeutic or part of the grieving process, but come on, give it a little time. Maybe I'm just sentimental, but I feel like once someone's belongings are gone, it's like they're really gone, no trace of them left. Yes, things are just things, and life moves on, but why rush it? I remember hearing about a man whose wife passed away, and he buried her on a Monday, and by Friday, a donation truck came to pick up her things. That kind of move just feels wrong. Christina's actions felt especially out of place, though. Like you said, everyone grieves differently, but it's the day of Sam's funeral. Beyond Dante, there are probably items that her kids would want to keep as keepsakes. Some people can't bear to look at the items, clothes in the closet, personal things in drawers. It's just too painful. When my mom passed, I wasted no time boxing up her things and sending them to my aunt in Ireland. She shared them with the neighbors, people who'd known my mom. That gave me comfort. I kept her jewelry, both real and costume, and a lock of her hair. But we all handle it differently. There's no right or wrong way. Some people find comfort in keeping their loved ones' things around. Christina, though, didn't even consider the kids. Can you imagine them coming home and finding their house stripped of everything that was Sam? They should have been the ones to decide when and how to pack up Sam's stuff. Children often hold onto things that adults would dismiss as trivial. Something that might seem meaningless to an adult could be incredibly meaningful to them. Rocco might even want something to remember his relationship with Sam. Of course, it's just classic Christina. She acts before thinking it through. Her intentions might have been good, though with Christina, I wouldn't bet on it. But it wasn't her place to start removing Sam's belongings. She might have actually hurt the kids more by doing that than if she just left everything alone. Imagine them grieving and then walking into Sam's room to find it completely empty. For Scout, that would be absolutely devastating. Christina, though, never thinks about anyone but herself and she somehow manages to mess up even the kindest gestures. And then there's Alexis. She's a total wreck now, more than ever. She was rifling through files like a madwoman, trying to find Sam's will, and when she finally finds it, she declares she'll make sure it's followed to the letter, even though the will doesn't reflect the new reality. The kids want to stay together as a family, probably with Dante, but the will gives custody of Danny and Scout to Drew. Yes, Drew, the same guy who can't seem to keep it in his pants, rolling around on the floor with Willow while his daughter, who's just lost her mother, is left searching for him. What in the world were the writers thinking by having Christina waltz into Dante's home, into his bedroom, and start cleaning out Sam's personal belongings? Seriously, who does that? Oh right, Christina. Dante hadn't even had time to take off his suit from the funeral, and here she is, rifling through his wife's things. How dare she? It's just another example of this selfish, entitled character getting away with terrible decisions. I can't even begin to understand what the writers were thinking with this one. Odd. Christina's about to get a rude awakening when it's revealed that Eva didn't push her and that the whole thing was an accident. Christina knows it was an accident because she was right there, but she refuses to admit that maybe, just maybe, she shouldn't have gone to that hotel room. Once that truth comes out, I'm sure it's going to be a literal slap across the face for her. Her arrogance and pushiness are bound to take a backseat soon enough. Honestly, how did she even get into the penthouse? Did she have a key? Dante didn't seem to mind, but I guess he was too distraught to care at the time. And you know what? Dante better start packing up because the condo was Sam's, and he might end up at the Q's, which, oh, I can't stand. If he does, though, at least all the kids would be together. Rocco, Danny, and Scout should always be a family, brothers and sister. Just imagine Scout a little older, with Danny and Rocco as her protectors, because, let's face it, their fathers aren't exactly winning any Parent of the Year awards. Speaking of the Q's, I think the whole storyline with them has really been overdone. Is Maxie even in Dante's old house now? I can't remember. As for the condo, it'll probably go to Danny and Scout, or get sold and turned into a trust for the kids. Once the fog lifts, I wonder if Dante will fight for custody. Honestly, I don't think Alexis should be the one raising the kids. Danny and Scout have their fathers, and while Drew might be a heel right now, and Jason's job has never been safe, those kids' fathers have parental rights. I'd love to see all the kids together, even if they lived on the same block. But now that Lulu's awake, this whole custody thing might get more complicated. As for Lois, she's really overstayed her welcome. She's a grown woman with an income. She needs to get her own place. I get that she's friends with Olivia, but come on, she's freeloading at the Q mansion. Trina and Joss are paying rent for their place, so why can't Lois find her own apartment? She's not used to living in a nice place, but that's not an excuse to mooch off Olivia. She can visit, but she needs to move on. Back to Christina, though, she was completely out of line. She has no business being in the penthouse at all. If any of the Davis sisters were going to pack up Sam's things, it shouldn't have happened until Dante was either moved out or asked for help. The kids should have had the chance to pick out something special to remember their mom by before any adult touched anything. I'm pretty sure Alexis will push for Drew to get custody of Danny. She's been all about honoring Sam's wishes, and Sam wanted Danny and Scout to stay together. That's been her stance, and it makes sense that Alexis would fight for that, especially since she's already on record saying she's not exactly Team Jason. I hope, as some have suggested, that Diane has Sam's will and Alexis just found an older version. Because honestly, wouldn't the most recent will have the old one attached to it? It's a mess, and if Sam only made a few small changes, a codicil should have been done, not a whole new will. A lawyer who doesn't manage that is definitely dropping the ball. And if Sam really did insist on a new will, then Diane should have had the old one destroyed. I'd love it if Danny chose to live with Jason. I think Jason's ready to be a dad, and Danny could teach him a lot about being one. But it's a complicated situation. Even if Danny might want to be with Jason, his biological father is still Drew. Drew just got elected to office, but let's face it, he's known for his mob connections, and living in a single room is hardly ideal for raising a kid. On the other hand, Drew would probably want to send Danny off to some private school, possibly even a boarding school far away from Scout, and that's not exactly an ideal situation either. So, where does that leave the poor kids? Would they go live with Dante, the Qs, or stay with Alexis? None of those options sound great. I have no doubt that Alexis will support Drew though. She's made it clear she wants to honor Sam's wishes, and Sam definitely wasn't a big fan of Jason. I remember when Sam broke away from Jason and was raising Patrick's kids, and Alexis was completely on board with it. Then, when she got with Drew and they started Aurora, she was just as happy as can be with Danny in the picture. But I do hope Dante steps up and keeps all the kids together. That seems like something Sam would have wanted, especially since the will was written before she and Dante were together. Maybe Dante could move back into the penthouse, but didn't he tell Sam it didn't matter to him and that she should keep it? Could Danny really live there with all the memories of Sam? Some people need a clean break, and I think that would be good for both Jason and Danny too, if they could start fresh in a new place together as father and son. Honestly, I just hope neither Drew nor Alexis ends up with custody of Danny. He deserves his last few years before adulthood to be happy and stable, not caught up in all this drama. Honestly, why does this guy even care what Trina thinks? She's been nothing but a jerk to him since day one. She's been treating him like dirt, and yet he still cares about her opinion. Trina really needs to get off her high horse. She's acting like she's something special, but she's not. She doesn't have to be rude to get her point across. It's the same tired trope we see all the time, the girl who doesn't care about the famous guy. She calls him out and puts him in his place, telling him he can't treat her however he wants. Of course, he loves it. She doesn't grovel, and he falls for her. They start dating, and bam, it's true love. It's exactly what happened with Spencer. Trina doesn't need a project to fix. She needs someone who respects her, not someone she has to constantly nag. I just don't like her when she's in nag mode. Sorry, Portia Jr. But to be fair, Trina has every right to set him straight. If you let a guy walk all over you, he'll keep doing it. So her calling him out was completely necessary. They seem to have worked things out, so now they can move forward. And as for that Kai guy, Trina's got legitimate reasons to be mad. Her education is on the line, and he's not putting in the effort. She's not going to let someone slack off and drag her down. If Kai doesn't want her confronting him, he's got two options. Either step up and do the work, or let her drop him as her partner. She owes him nothing unless he starts pulling his weight. In my opinion, Trina is no one's nag. She's just standing up for herself and her future. She's been through a lot, especially with her grief over Spencer. But with Aunt Stella's support, she's getting back on track. She's ready to move forward with her education and isn't going to let any unserious guy hold her back. Go Trina! Kudos to Danny for calling Jason out on beating up Drew and not letting him off the hook. Seriously, Jason needs to stop with the controlling my emotions excuse. He wasn't off his meds. He intentionally went there, waited for Drew, and then beat the daylights out of him. Yeah, great example for your son, Jason. Really setting the bar high. And when it comes to the custody situation, I'm actually glad Sam had Drew listed as the one to get custody of both kids. While Jason was MIA, Drew stepped up and helped raise Danny. Danny spent years living with Drew, and he's not going to just abandon Scout to go live with Jason. If Drew were still the man we remember, I might feel differently, but given his recent actions, I really believe the priority should be keeping the kids together. I hope Dante steps up and makes sure that happens. Jason may be able to fight for custody since he's Danny's biological father, but he's got some serious baggage. He has ammunition that Drew doesn't want exposed, and that's something that could come to light soon. It's hard to predict how this will play out, but I'm definitely intrigued to see where it goes. Jason needs to get his act together and either get the penthouse back or buy a new place to show he can actually provide for Danny. That said, I don't see Jason winning custody with his history. There's no way Danny's going to leave without Scout, and I don't see Drew agreeing to Jason raising his daughter. Plus, I'm pretty sure Alexis will fight hard to keep Jason away from having any custody at all. Honestly, the best solution would be for Dante to keep raising the kids. They could stay at the Q's until they find a new place, or even move back to the penthouse. That would be the most stable option for all of them right now. There's a lot of people out there who want Eva to be held responsible for pushing Christina, but I think they're in for a huge surprise when it comes out that it was all just an accident. Eva had her hands on Christina's shoulder, yes, but it was only to calm her down, not to push her. When it's revealed that Christina tripped over the suitcase and fell out the window, people are going to be speechless. And the fact that Eva moved the suitcase or lied about it won't even matter in the end. If Eva tells the truth in court, like she did to Rick, it'll be clear this was an accident, especially when compared to Sonny's actual murder. I'm hoping those photos were from a video because even without sound, they could really help show what happened. What I don't like, though, is Dante's attitude. As a detective, he should be more open-minded, but instead, he's just so set on making Eva the villain. It doesn't matter how much he knows about Sonny's crimes. Dante refuses to let Sonny face consequences. It's honestly baffling, and it's no wonder he gets along with Anna so well. Eva shouldn't have been arrested in the first place. Dante, the first cop on the scene, was completely compromised and missed the fact that this was obviously an accident. Watching Rick tear into Christina will be fun, though. He'll show everyone that Christina's actions caused her to fly out that window and lose Irene. Now, I had the same reaction about Rick showing up to support his daughter. How dare he? Alexis isn't making Molly a priority, and Rick was completely in the right to be there. He was just showing up for Molly, not barging in uninvited. I love how Alexis gets on her high horse about Rick, but conveniently forgets that she's forgiven Julian and Sonny for murdering people and committing all kinds of other heinous crimes. Poor Lulu is going to have so much to process once she starts her rehab. Once she's aware of everything that's happened during the time she's been in a coma, her dad, Bobby, and Epiphany all dealing with the fallout, missing out on 4 years of her kids' lives, and the fact that Charlotte is out there somewhere with Valentin, she's going to be overwhelmed. Then there's Charlotte's own struggles, including how she nearly got shot breaking into Anna's apartment. Lulu's going to have to face the fact that so much has changed, and people are going to expect her to deal with it all. What's worse is that some people might even hold her responsible for Sam's death if Cyrus is exposed for messing with the meds. If it turns out that he's responsible for prolonging Lulu's coma, the truth could cause a lot of tension, especially with how people feel about Sam's passing. Hopefully, the truth doesn't take too long to come to light. I really want to see Lulu interact with everyone again. I'm thrilled she's awake, but I hope they don't drag it out like they did with Lucky's return, and leave us waiting for weeks before she's back in Port Charles. There's a lot to unpack, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Someone really needs to tell Alexis to mind her own business. Why does she act like she knows everything, and that she's entitled to an explanation from everyone? It would have been refreshing if just one person told her to stop sticking her nose in other people's affairs and focus on her own kids for once. Honestly, all this attention she's giving could be better spent on supporting Christina and her grief, just a touch of sarcasm there. Alexis wasted no time lecturing Molly and laying on the guilt trip. And don't even get me started on how Christina can't go a single moment without demanding that Dante coddle her and make sure her grief is as valid as anyone else's. These two seriously need help. As for Alexis, she needs to remember that her grandchildren are just that, grandchildren, not her children. They have parents who are perfectly capable of caring for them. It's not her place to decide how they live their lives, and if Sam had issues with it, she should have thought about that before having kids with those men. Sure, grandparents can voice their opinions, but once they do, they should step back and let the parents handle things. Alexis is really pushing my patience right now. Why didn't she just ask Diane about the will instead of causing all this unnecessary drama over the kids? She's acting like Molly doesn't have her own feelings and pushing her to do things just to protect Alexis's fragile state. It's too much. Look, Alexis is clearly struggling. She's angry with Rick, barely holding it together after burying her daughter. And now she's forced to sit in a courtroom the next day while her ex, who's Christina's godfather, attacks one of her other daughters on the witness stand. But let's be real, Rick wasn't attacking Molly. He was just venting about how awful it is that they're all in this situation. He didn't have to take Eva's case, but he did, and he did it for a reason. Rick's decision to take Eva's case wasn't just some random choice. It made sense given the mess of the Davis family dynamic. He knows Molly is still grieving, and while it may be hard, his goal is to help resolve everything and hopefully help everyone move on without bad blood lingering. If that means putting Christina and Molly on the stand to get to the truth, then so be it. And then there's Alexis, who had our sympathy for a minute, but is back to her meddling ways. The will and its contents, that's Diane's job, not Alexis's. It feels like she's just stirring the pot, making things worse when she has enough on her plate already with Christina and Molly. Drew's behavior is just disgusting. The way he put Jason down, calling him a horrible father, and insinuating that Danny could end up with bruises like his own, it's beyond low. He's completely taken on the worst traits of the Quartermaines, and it's hard to watch. Willow seriously needs to wake up before it's too late. Drew is walking around with way too much confidence, but he should be a lot more worried, especially if Jason decides to spill the truth about his affair with Willow. If Sonny finds out, Drew won't just be dealing with Jason, he'll have a whole other mess on his hands. I can't wait for everything to implode on Drew. It's only a matter of time before the affair comes to light. And with his political aspirations, it's going to look even worse. Affairs may happen all the time, but for someone in Drew's position, this is going to be a huge blow to his credibility and reputation. The fallout will be massive, and I'm sure he'll be one of the most hated people in town. As for custody, there's no way he's going to get it now. He'll have to leave the Key Mansion, too. There's no way Monica, or anyone else, will want him around once the truth comes out. Sure, he's rich enough to buy his own place, but I can see him needing to do that sooner rather than later. And as for Willow, maybe it's time for her to join him, if they really want to be together. But honestly, Michael and Willow, they should break up, considering the betrayal. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.